I recently visited Seattle for a business trip and stumbled upon a great spot for breakfast, perfect for spending that company money. I kicked things off with a fresh cup of orange juice. Personally, I find that a good OJ beats coffee as a morning drink. The freshness and slight sourness really wakes you up more effectively. And honestly, having both just ruins the taste of orange juice after coffee. For the main course, I opted for a hearty bacon, tomato, mushroom, and egg scramble accompanied by some hash browns. This place specializes in scrambles, serving them up either as is, wrapped, or sandwich. The scramble was quite tasty and well seasoned, though a tad overcooked, making the eggs slightly dry, but as breakfast foods go, it hit the spot. Interestingly, every meal here comes with a lollipop, a quirky little touch. I also tried their chipotle aioli and was pretty impressed by how thick and actually spicy it was. It just added a nice kick to the meal. Overall, this place did a solid job for breakfast on the go. Since the hotel I'm staying at only has one breakfast spot within walking distance, I ended up back at the same place as last week's video. This spot specializes in scrambles, so today I got the Animal Lover, which comes with grilled mushrooms, onions, fire roasted peppers, tomatoes, and some steak. Oh, and every meal comes with a lollipop, so it's a fun little bonus. Flavor reveal is at the end, so place your bets. As for the meal, it was pretty decent. The hash brown was nice and crispy, and the ranch was pretty good. The scramble itself, well, the eggs were a bit overcooked. You know when eggs get that watery texture when they're overcooked. But the veggies were nicely seasoned, so that was a plus. The big downside was really the steak. It was a bit chewy, probably from using a cheap cut or just overcooking it. All in all, it was okay, but I hope everyone placed their bets because the lollipop is grape. While I was in Seattle, I decided to check out this all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue spot. They had a great selection of meats ranging from bulgogi to spicy pork. However, they do have a little twist. You have to order the brisket by the plate. I started with the brisket and it was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was the highest quality of meat, but for all you can eat, it was definitely doing a job. Plus, they have a wide variety of sauces from traditional ssamjang to some unique chili sauces, so if you're a sauce enthusiast, you're definitely in for a treat. They also offer a few other dishes like egg rolls and dumplings, but I was mostly focused on the meat. I also gave the bulgogi a try. It was tender and flavorful, but it seemed like it had been marinated for too long. The meat was almost falling apart, which can happen when it's been marinated for too long. Overall, I would say the brisket was the standout. If you want to get your money's worth, I would suggest sticking to the brisket. It was definitely the best option, and it really lets you enjoy the experience without worrying too much about the quality of the other meats. While I was in Seattle, I decided to check out the Starbucks Reserve. There are apparently only 7 of these in the world, and this one is just a few blocks away from the original Starbucks location. As soon as you walk in, you're hit with a rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee, and you're surrounded by a variety of premium and pricey items. I ordered a dark chocolate mocha and a smoked salmon and cream cheese brioche. The mocha was excellent, not too sweet like some mochas can be. It had a nice dark roasted flavor that really stood out. As for the smoked salmon and cream cheese brioche, it was pretty good. The smoked salmon was a tad fishy, but overall it was a tasty combination. I also tried a chocolate croissant, and this was another highlight. It was perfectly crispy on the outside and soft and buttery on the inside, with a generous amount of chocolate sandwiched in between. Overall, even though I'm not usually a big coffee or even a breakfast person, this was really a pleasant experience. I found myself relaxed, enjoyed some unique flavors, and tried new things out. It was a nice way to spend a morning in Seattle. So I was in Bellevue, which is another city in Washington. I would argue it's much cleaner and nicer than Seattle. But while I was there, I decided to try out this local burger shop. I was tired of spending over $30 on lunch, so I found this burger shack that had a real no-frills vibe. I ordered a bacon burger with a huge bag of onion rings for around $15, which is a pretty good deal, especially considering it's right in the middle of the city. I mean, look at the char marks on this burger. Cooked to perfection. The burger had a nice smoky flavor, and the diced up lettuce was super fresh and crispy. My only critique would be that they didn't toast buns, which would have added a nice texture. As for the onions, they were pretty tasty, though I have to say they were a bit on the greasy side. Definitely the kind of thing that would give you a heart attack if you ate them too often. Overall, if they toasted the buns, this would be the perfect burger. It had the wonderful char notes, and the bacon was crispy and delicious. Plus, it was cheaper than Five Guys, which is always a win in my book. While I was in Seattle, I knew I had to hit up some buffets. I don't know if it's just me, but the buffet scene in Illinois seems to be a bit lacking, so I was excited to check out what Seattle had to offer. I started off with a plate of sushi, got some salmon nigiri and salmon rolls, which were pretty fresh and tasty. But when you're paying $45 per person, I went straight for the crab legs and piled it up mountain high on my plate. They were really good, perfectly steamed and not too briny, and honestly worth the price just for that alone. They also have this teppanyaki-like grill station, which was pretty fantastic. You get to pick from 3 different sauces. I went with the teriyaki. The grilled veggies and meat were spot on, but what really stood out were these udon noodles. They were hands-on one of the best udon noodles I ever had. Super thick, elastic, and just delicious. I even grabbed another serving from the noodle bar because they were just that good. After I was completely stuffed, I couldn't leave without hitting up the chocolate fountain. It was a sweet way to end the meal, and overall, the buffet was definitely worth the visit. While I was in Seattle, I had to check out Pike Place Market, which is one of the city's iconic spots. They're famous for the fish throwing, but the funny thing is the fishmonger seemed pretty annoyed with all the tourists taking pictures and not buying anything. It was kind of amusing, honestly. Anyways, I decided to grab some food while I was there, so I got a clam chowder, fish and chips, and a tuna melt. The clam chowder, it was okay. There was a decent amount of clams in it, but nothing special. The fish and chips though was a big disappointment. For over $20, I was expecting something better, but all I got was 3 small breadcrumb coated fish sticks. If I wasn't on a work trip and the company was paying for this meal, I would have been pretty upset about it. The tuna melt, on the other hand, was actually pretty solid. It had a good amount of tuna, and the mayo gave it that nice richness. But overall, I would say this restaurant was a bit of a tourist trap when it comes to food. If you're looking for a better meal, I suggest, checking other parts of the city or just a different restaurant in, Pike Place Market. After a run in Seattle, I decided to check out this breakfast spot, but first, let me say the Seattle streets in the morning are a bit sketchy. You definitely want to keep running and keep your head on a swivel, just a heads up. Anyways, I sat down and ordered an orange juice and a breakfast set, which came with 2 giant pancakes, some breakfast sausage links, and 2 eggs cooked however you want. I'm always a little skeptical about large pancakes because they can be dry and flavorless, but these were surprisingly good, very nice and pretty fluffy. The sausage links were pretty standard, just your regular breakfast sausages, nothing too special. But I tried some of my mom's hash browns, and I've got to say they were cooked to perfection, perfectly charred on the top and steaming hot in the middle, just the way you want them. As for my eggs, I ordered them over medium, and they actually came out exactly that way, so I was happy with that. Overall, I would recommend this spot if you're looking for a solid breakfast in Seattle. This might just be one of the best fish and chips I've ever had. It's from this little spot located on an island off Seattle. I ordered a fish and chips, a clam chowder, and a fish sandwich, and everything was top notch. What really makes this place stand out is the batter. It's a perfectly done beer batter, super crispy on the outside, while the fish inside just flakes apart. It's literally cooked to perfection. And let me tell you, the tartare sauce isn't your typical tartare sauce. It's rich and creamy and has a nice herby kick that elevates the whole dish. The fries were also amazing, crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, just how they should be. The fish sandwich was also great. It's the same perfectly battered fish, but served between nicely toasted ciabatta bread with a bit of a smoky flavor that adds a whole new layer of taste. Lastly, the clam chowder was solid, but what really set it apart was the mint oil drizzled on top. It cut through the richness and balanced the whole dish beautifully. Overall, I would highly recommend checking this place out if you're near Seattle.